Are you planning to make a comic book in 2020? Well, if making comics isn't part of your regular routine, or if you're planning to make your first comic, you're gonna need a game plan. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. We also create comics, or at least I used to, and it's been a while since I've worked on my comic. So if anyone's not familiar, this is my comic book, Young and the Dead. It's a kids versus zombie story. It's basically like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's an homage to like all those 80s action adventure movies with kids as the protagonists. Goonies, Monster Squad, Explorers, E.T., Stand By Me, all of that kind of stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, then this will be right up your alley. Plus it has zombies, so how can you go wrong with that? But like I said, it's been a while since I've actually worked on this comic. And you know, this year, I mean, I think it goes without saying that this year has been not the best year for pretty much everyone. So, you know, because of that, a lot of my plans kind of had to get pushed back because I had to change things around and everything. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so with the new year coming up pretty soon, I've been starting to think, you know what, I really need to get back to working on my comic book. But it's been so long that I'm like, well, how do I get back into this? So, and I thought I'd just share this with you because I think a lot of you people out there might be going through some of the same things, especially if you're planning on making your first comic, or if you're just trying to get back into making comics. Okay, so a little break here because we've got some mail. So we're gonna open some mail and we will get back to that in just a minute. So if you're not familiar with how the mail works here in the underground lair, we are down here, you know, we're pretty far under the earth. So mail doesn't get here like it does for the average person. We don't have mail carriers or whatever. So we get our mail delivery through this system called the Vaculux, and it comes out right here. There we go. So we've got some mail now. As you can tell, it's rather small because, you know, big packages won't fit through this thing. So we've got, looks like about 3 packages. They're miniaturized, but because of that, you know, I don't want little small packages. I'd like them to be actual size. So we're gonna go, and all we have to do is add some water because these are dehydrated. We bring them back to normal size. We open them up and let's see what we got. All right, here we go. Here are our packages. We got 3 packages here, and I think it's safe to say that I think at least 1 or 2 of these are probably comic books. So that's gonna go along with what we're talking about today. As far as a game plan, the one thing that I say that you need to do if this is your first comic or you're just getting back into comics is start small. Don't start off with your magnum opus, this you know, 360-page graphic novel. Start small, and that's gonna give you a better chance of actually getting something done. The more things you get done, then the more things you produce, and it's just nice to hold something in your hand. So I always recommend the #1 rule, if I can give any rules as far as getting into making comics, is start small. So I have a feeling that because this is a small letter that there's probably a mini comic inside. So I'm gonna open this letter, and mini comics are a great way to start working on comics. And look at these, I've got some mini comics here. Oh, these are packaged really cool. So the vault, this is Aaron Guzman, .com it says, and I love the way, and that's the cool thing about mini comics is just the way they're you can package them any way you want. You can make them any size. I mean, obviously this isn't the normal size of a comic book or even the normal dimensions that you would be looking for, but it doesn't matter. You can experiment, you can do all kinds of cool things with mini comics. So I'm gonna check these out. Okay, opening the envelope, and all cool. So again, I love the way these are packages. All the information's here on the front, on the envelope, printed on, and then inside we've got a little pack. And these, wow, these are like super, this is what I love about mini comics. Okay, here. So first of all, this, I'm not sure what this is. This looks like, oh, this looks like this is just a sleeve maybe that wraps around them. Very cool art. Man, I love that pose. That's a really cool gesture right there. So the vault mini comic bundle, I love it. I love it. If you know me, I've done tons. I mean, if you search mini comics on YouTube, you're gonna find my videos because I just love mini comics. I love talking about them. Man, this artwork is so cool. And this is one format that I kind of like. It's just kind of the folded. Let's see. Yeah, that. So here, look at this, and look at this creature. Can we focus in on that? Fishing trip. Now I'm not gonna spoil this or read this whole thing right here, but that's one comic here in this one mini comic bundle. Hourglass is another one, another really cool pose on the back. Man, this is really cool. Man, Aaron, this looks awesome. Yeah, this is really great. I love it. And then I've got Aaron's card here, which I won't show up close. Okay, we got one more envelope here, similar packaging. But that's really cool. If you've seen the way that I package my mini comics, you know, I do all kinds of cool stuff. And, you know, I charge a little more for my minis than I do for my regular because there's a lot of work that goes into them. Okay, so another one of these, and actually I didn't even notice this before, but it tells what's in this particular bundle. I just love the way, and I don't think I've seen any mini comics done exactly like this before, but it's just super cool. Another envelope here. We've got 3 more comics. This one's called Writer's Block. Very cool, awesome perspective. Tales of Suligan, am I pronouncing that right? I'm just gonna take a peek in here. Oh wow, look at this creature here. Isn't that bad? That's awesome, man. All right, Hourglass, here's another one. Man, these are great comics, I love these. So thanks, Aaron, for sending these my way. But if you're thinking about making your first comic, just think about this. I mean, Aaron's got 6 different comics here, and if he would have probably planned to make this like this giant graphic novel, he may not even have it finished yet. He still might be working on it. But he started small, he's got 1 done, and then from there it just multiplies. And and if you start with this and then you decide, you could even take this artwork depending on the size you're doing it and then later blow it up, put in a collection, an actual size. My comic book, Young and the Dead, started as a mini comic, and then I reformatted it and I'm selling it as floppies, and eventually it'll be a trade paperback. So you can get, you can start small and then you can just kind of multiply. Take that artwork, you can collect it into other volumes. We'll get into some other things that you can do if you're just getting started making comics. But this is an excellent idea. Just start small. It can be a small little mini comic, or it can just be small as far as the number of pages. But that's a great way to get started on your comic book journey. Okay, here is another package. I don't think that this is a comic book, but I believe this is from a friend of mine, Gavin, who has been helping me with I've got a new video that I'm working on, and I'll explain a little bit what that's about. So yeah, so if you can see right here, that's a little clue what this has to do with. Can you see that? It's not focusing. Little Garbage Pail Kids, if you're old enough to remember the Garbage Pail Kids. I'm a big fan of like wax packs. Yeah, okay, so I got a message from Gavin here. So he sent me this sample paper. This is just a paper that he's using to create these wax packs. Now I did a video on wax packs. I also did, like, my most popular video is on stickers, and I'm gonna revisit that. I'm gonna combine both of those, and I'm gonna show you how to make these type of, wax pack stickers. And Gavin shared his process with me, and I'm gonna relate that to you guys. But he's just got an awesome way of doing these wax packs, better than the way that I was doing it. So thanks, Gavin, and he did send me some of the sample paper. It's really cool, so I can't wait to get to that video, but that's just a preview of something that's coming up. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, I mean, he did this. This isn't one of the original packages. He did this. He reprinted that, and it feels, it's just like a wax pack. So that's really cool. But again, a preview of something that's coming up. Okay, here is another book. I assume it's a book. It feels like heavy like a book. Oh, okay, or it's actually a few books. Okay, so I don't know if this was sent to me by Frank Salazar. It's from Lulu Press, so I think they're the ones that printed this. But this is the 9-volt anthology, or 2 of the 9-volt anthologies. And this goes along with another thing that I want to talk about, and that is anthologies. If this is your first comic, get in with a group of people and put together an anthology. And there's anthologies out here that you could probably contact the creators. I don't know who's behind this, and I should, because I've heard a lot about this 9-volt anthology. But if you're a comic book creator, you can get maybe into one of these anthologies and have it featured in your book. And if you're not familiar with anthologies, it's a number of different creators coming together with short stories. So again, not these big undertakings, not this massive graphic novel. You create it and then you can get it published, so it's in printable form, and it just helps. So I don't know, there's okay, that's just an order or something, but I'm gonna quickly flip through this. But you can see these are all different. Hold on. Here's another one. This is number 2, which is quite a bit bigger. So it looks like it just keeps growing. So you can see the size of this, number 1, and then as it goes in popularity, they get more contributors. But it's just a really cool way. And there's so many different ways you can go about this. I don't know, maybe they put this together and then everyone orders their own books through the printer, and then they can in turn sell them to their audience or whatever. Or you could kickstart it. I've been involved with anthologies myself. I've been featured in anthologies. But oh man, there's just some really cool artwork in here, and it's just all different stuff. So just another approach on how to get started in comics. If you got a short story, maybe submit it to one of these anthologies, and you'll have your work printed. And it's just nice to hold your work in your hand in a volume like this. But I've got to actually get to this, and I want to read this. The other thing that I want to talk about is as far as creating comics, making comics, getting on board with the process of making comics and putting comic books out there, is what kind of got me started, and that is the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Now, there's been some, I don't know how to, turmoil within this community, and I don't really want to get into all that because a lot of the back and forth and the stuff that's going on are between people that I consider friends, so I'm gonna kind of stay like Switzerland and be neutral. And I don't really know like the status of the group right now, but the premise behind it is still perfect, it's still great, it's still one of the things that really got me into putting out comic books. And the premise is this, and this is a challenge that was started by Kevin Cross, and basically he was having trouble putting out his comic and everything, so he said, you know what, I'm just gonna devote at least at the very minimum 30 minutes a day every day for 100 days and see how much work I can get done in my process. And the idea behind it is that if you just have a little bit, and everyone's got 30 minutes, you can find 30 minutes. And again, that's the minimum, that's the bare minimum. We'd like, kind of like you to do more, and I'm looking to do more. But at least 30 minutes a day, work on your comic, and at the end of that 100 days, you're gonna be a lot further along. Maybe it's not totally complete, but you're a lot further along than you used to be. And the other thing is you record this, whether it's, and whether you put a video out there, letting people know what you've done in your process, you put a social media post, and that kind of helps to hold you accountable. Because if you state something and you put it out there on social media and say, I'm gonna make this comic, I'm gonna spend so much time a day, and I'm gonna have, get this much done on my comic, people are gonna hold you to it. And that's something that the 100s group really did really well. So hopefully they're still around, because that's a big part of it, is that accountability and holding you to it. Now, I've done this a few times before, so I'm pretty good at holding myself accountable as long as I decide to do it. And that's kind of the part that's been holding me back, is just making that decision. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm making the decision that come first of the year, I am going to start back on my comic book, Young and the Dead. And I don't know if I'm gonna do daily updates, probably not, but last time I did the challenge, and I've done it like 3 times before, I did weekly updates and just letting everyone know how far along I am, letting you in on that process. And maybe I'll do extra for my Patreon, maybe I'll show a little more of that behind the scenes stuff. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do it, but it's really important that I get back to work on my comics. So those are basically 3 ideas right there. First is definitely, and if you haven't heard, I've said this ad nauseum, and I'll keep continuing to say it, is start small. If this is your first time, start small with a smaller project. The other thing is, if you're doing those small projects, well, what do you do with it once you get it done? You can do like mini comics, self-published like you saw, or the other example I showed where you find somebody who's doing an anthology. Now, I don't know what the requirements are to be in the 9-volt anthology, but you can look that up. I'm sure there's probably there's some kind of group, whether it's a Discord or Facebook group or something I know I have a lot of friends that are involved with this. I don't know actually who's the mastermind behind it, or who started it, but I'm sure that information isn't hard to find. And there's other anthologies out there as well, or you can start your own up. And the third, like I said, is just in order to hold yourself accountable to maybe thinking about taking the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. And if all the stuff that's going on, if you're not so sure about that particular challenge, I mean, it's just the spirit of it. And I'm sure you can season it to taste, you can change things around, but the basic principle of putting some time aside every day and continue to work on that, and don't stop, and do that for a certain length of time. And then you're gonna get a lot further on your comic. And that's the way I did most of my comics, and that's the way I'm gonna continue to do it next year as I decide to get back to work on my comic. It's been a while. I know a lot of you people are, you know, wanting to know when the next volume is going to be up, but and when I get into it, I'm gonna write. I don't know if it's gonna be one more issue or two more issues or one big issue or whatever the case is, but I will know that because I'm gonna script out the rest of the story, and then I'm gonna get into, you know, doing the drawing and everything like that. And I like to take you along on the process. So that's one of the things coming up in the new year. The other one I kind of alluded to was that video that I'm going to do on how to make wax packs and stickers and all that stuff, and I got a really fun project to do with that. So yeah, some fun stuff coming up. But what are some of your plans for next year? And I'm going to be talking a little more about my plans, and I always plan things out, and I do a video on, you know, what I planned to do last year, and a lot of that stuff didn't come true because of what's going on. But I do like to put those videos out again to hold myself accountable. But I gotta make some plans for next year, and I'm hoping that next year is gonna be a great year, especially coming off the one we have. But what are you guys thinking? Are you optimistic about the new year? Do you have plans to create some new stuff? Let me know what you guys have plans in the comment section, and I will see you later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.